The Shark Deck.
I haven't even looked at this yet. From the Washington Post, your headline, Adam Sandler doesn't need your respect. Well, you came to the right place, Adam. But he's getting it anyway. In a rare sit-down interview with the Washington Post, the former SNL star and comedy icon reflects on his career as he receives the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor. I'm in, baby. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. The Post writes, for Sandler, popularity and praise have rarely come hand in hand. That's right. There are people in the world who think most of the Adam Sandler movies are really, really, really terrible. But the Post writes, that's changed in some recent years. Sandler's dramatic acting performances in 2017's The Meyerowitz Stories, last year's basketball film Hustle, which, as you know, is probably the second best Adam Sandler movie of all time, and especially 2019's Uncut Gems, which, as you know, is the best of the Adam Sandler films. Those brought unlikely and ultimately fruitless Oscar buzz. 2020's throwback comedy Hubie Halloween, we'll put that one on the garbage pile, confirmed why Adam Sandler has been packing movie theaters and arenas since the Clinton administration. The Mark Twain Award puts Adam Sandler in a company of such figures as Eddie Murphy, Carol Burnett, and Steve Martin. Lorne Michaels says, the nature of comedy is you get the audience, you get the money, respect is the last thing you get. Jumping ahead a few paragraphs until the time when Adam Sandler had starred in Billy Madison. It debuted at number 1 at the box office. It also got terrible reviews, and then the Post writes for a second time, terrible reviews with terrible in italics. Sandler said, when Billy Madison came out and I realized I'm going to be a newspaper, that was a big deal. When I was a kid, if I got a couple of hits in baseball and was in the Union Leader, Adam Sandler, shortstop, got a single and a double, I got excited. And then I read a couple of reviews and I was like, woof, that hurts. I thought they were going to have a good time with it, like I did. And then Happy Gilmore was getting trashed and my friends were getting all riled up. And I just said, nah, I don't need to read that stuff. I decided I wanted to talk through what I like to do. I like to do my stand-up. I like to do my movies. I was just happy doing that. Lorne Michaels talked about Adam's SNL audition. Lorne said, most people audition in the style of things that have already been on the show, but what I'm looking for is something that makes you laugh because you haven't seen it yet. Both of them had that. Adam was truly funny, but in a style that was completely new and fresh. During Sandler's SNL run from 1990 to 1995, there were two factions emerging inside 30 Rock. Those who got it and those who didn't. I didn't work at 30 Rock in 1995, but you can count me in the those who didn't. Executives were known to lodge complaints about his work, and within the cliquey cast and writer's room, there was also a split. Robert Smigel was a writer on the show for 8 years and said at read-through, Adam would do a weekend update piece like where he was a travel guide, and the joke would be that he was just not doing what a travel guide's supposed to be doing, but he was delivering the information with a blissful idiot's enthusiasm, and it was incredibly funny. And I remember me and Conan and the nerds, Greg Daniels and Bob Odenkirk, giggling uncontrollably in one corner of the room that otherwise had a black cloud hanging over it. Jim Downey, writer on the show, said that Sandler was the closest thing SNL ever had to Jerry Lewis. Wacky voices, off-kilter characters. He could also sing. Downey said ordinary people had no problem with Sandler and really smart people had no problem, but there was this group in the middle who would just take great offense at this kind of thing. They thought it was self-indulgent and infantile. Hi, Jim. Nice to meet you. That's me. The thing about Adam was, most performers, it's very important that they be respected as intelligent and often more intelligent than they really are. Adam was a guy who did not care if you thought he was smart. In fact, went out of the way to obscure the fact that he is, I dare say, a lot more intelligent than 90% of the performers I've worked with. Dan Ohlmeyer, a network president, targeted Adam Sandler, Chris Farley, and David Spade. He would tell Lorne Michaels, these guys aren't funny. Michael said, I think they are. The execs long for the past, like for Rosanna or Chevy Chase's pratfalls. They didn't understand Sandler singing a turkey for me, a turkey for you, let's eat turkey, and a big brown shoe. I like these executives. They sound like smart people. Lorne Michaels said, whether it's in painting or in music or in writing, style changes are disruptive, and the reaction to Adam on the show in the world was growing, but it wasn't visible in the mainstream because they were all baby boomers and the occasional Gen Xer with a podcast in his basement. Sandler said, I don't think I ever met Don Ohlmeyer. I shook it off. It's not what I heard when I walked down the street and some kid talked to me about crazy pickle arm. I was going by the response of my New Hampshire friends calling me up, my father telling me his buddy's kid thought such and such was funny, or my brother, what he liked. I didn't take it personally. I didn't sit there and go, maybe I should change. By 1995, Adam had been on SNL for 5 seasons, and Lorne Michaels said, listen, I could protect him at the show, at least for now, but they're so adamant about his not being funny and not being good, so I think he can go, he can leave. And so Adam Sandler left Saturday Night Live. He wondered if he would keep getting opportunities. Sandler said maybe the other companies are going to say, don't hire him because of this. They don't like him over there. Maybe there's a reason. I was probably nervous about that, but I didn't doubt myself. Billy Madison comes out. Ticket sales keep increasing. The Waterboy made $186 million on a $23 million budget. Big Daddy from 1999 made $230 million. Queen Latifah talked about one of the very few rare, actually good Adam Sandler movies, 50 First Dates. That's probably the third best Adam Sandler movie. The Queen said, I love 50 First Dates. Adam knows how to play the romantic comedy, and I think a lot of it is because this was a guy I'd like to meet. This is a guy that would make me laugh. This is a guy who's sweet. This is also a guy who has real feelings and gets ticked off. Josh Safdie talked about Uncut Gems, which is, of course, the greatest of the Adam Sandler films, and there's only like 5 good ones. There's the basketball one, Uncut Gems, and the ones with Drew Barrymore. Josh Safdie said, there's this rage and deep sweetness to him, and he's the only person who could have expressed what made Howard lovable for us. Jennifer Aniston has made 3 movies with Sandler, including Murder Mystery 2. She remembers watching Adam Sandler rhyme deli with Arthur Fonzarelli when he did the Hanukkah song. Aniston said, and personally, I think You Don't Mess with the Zohan is one of the funniest movies that he has. The Mark Twain Prize for American Humor airs 8 o'clock tonight.
Welcome to How to Tickle Yourself. I'm your host, Duff McDonald.
And I'm your co-host, Matt McButter. We'll be talking to people who specialize in different ways of inhabiting their own consciousness, from artists to yoga teachers to scientists. We've even got a professional magician.
We're going to ask them questions like, what is consciousness? Why does it tickle? And what is magic anyway? Is it just card tricks, or is it the fact that your little speck of consciousness is part of a perfect possibility machine?
Find us wherever you get your podcasts and at storicmedia.com.
If you like what I do here, you're probably not Adam Sandler, but the rest of you can go to buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. There are a couple bucks in the tip jar. I will take your money. I won't go to an Adam Sandler movie. Nope, that's not what I'm going to do with your money. I'm going to go to the National Donuts chain, and I'm going to pick up my large iced coffee with caramel and almond milk that I ordered on the app. Come home. Probably won't watch an Adam Sandler movie, but if I do, it would be Uncut Gems, although I like the basketball one a lot. That was kind of fun. BuyMeaCoffee.com/dailycomedynews. Hey, Jim Gaffigan, do you prefer doing stand-up in arenas or theaters? Jim said, I think the technology has advanced so much that arenas aren't a bad experience. But a smaller venue in a theater setting, I think that's ideal because comedy clubs are great, but at a theater, you're not disrupted by waiter service or anything like that. There's a focus. The environment kind of makes people behave better. But yeah, I would say that theaters are probably the ideal thing. That's why whenever I tape a special, I always do it in a theater setting. Yeah, can you imagine like Jim Gaffigan live at Giant Stadium? That wouldn't work. Jim, who would you cite as some of your influences other than David Letterman? Jim said, gosh, since I started, it has changed so dramatically, but I would definitely say that Seinfeld and Brian Regan were influences once I started. But I think that growing up listening to George Carlin was a big thing. It's ever evolving. I've been doing it for 30 years. So what inspired me before? I've gotten to this very much self-assignment thing. So I really loved observational comedy when I started, but now I'm very much into storytelling. I also want to deal with different topics in an interesting way. It's a very strange thing because after you do stand-up for so long, it's really this evolution of this relationship you have with your audience. Like the big advantage is they know your sensibility, but then it's like any good friendship, the conversation has to evolve. We'd like to think we have the same conversation with our friends, but we really don't. It's always kind of evolving, and that's what makes some of our friendships so interesting. So some of it is delivering the show, but also challenging myself and not just being repetitive with the type of comedy I'm doing, if that makes sense. That does make sense, Jim Gaffigan. That's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow.
Hello, I am Mark Francis, host of a daily podcast about the British royal family called Palace Intrigue. Did you see what Meghan Markle did in her latest documentary? Or what Prince Harry said in his new book? Well, the kings and queens and princes and princesses are ready to explode. Andrew is ready to implode. Royal sources are jumping at the bit. The in-laws just can't stop. The UK tabloids are about to burst. Americans can't get enough. The kids can't get any cuter. The press can't get any uglier. And Wills and Kate? Well, they're just wonderful. Get your daily dose of gossip and news from the world's most royal family. Follow Palace Intrigue on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your shows.